What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. I want to share one thing that God has told me about who I am. And to put it simply, it is that regardless of my earthly circumstances, I overflow with rejoicing because I can see what God is doing. I know that sounds a lot like something that I do, but it's really like, regardless of if I actually execute on that, I know that deep down that is who I am. That's who I am meant to be. Is this rejoicer in the face of whatever. And I know that because God has told me that. And I'm so thankful that He's told me that because I grew up pretty cynical, you could say. Pretty like glass half empty, pretty critical, um, definitely very judgmental. And so, in the face of difficulty, I might be thinking, whose fault is it? Or trying to um, like, pinpoint the underlying sin, or just generally speaking, feel frustrated, upset that my way isn't going my way. Certainly not rejoicing. And even in good times, I might be tempted to take credit for how good they are, which is not the same as praising God. It is not the same as rejoicing. That's more like boasting. And I know now, because God's spoken to me so clearly, that that's not who I'm meant to be either, but that I can be a rejoicer. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's neutral, I can always find something to rejoice about. Let this be a simple example. The fact that I'm even doing these YouTube videos, right? Like every day, coming on here on the YouTubes and talking about something God's done for me or taught me, some way that He's proven Himself faithful. And I'm rejoicing in Him. I'm boasting in Him. I'm talking about Him because that's who I am. So here's how I know that that's who I am. Here's how God's spoken that to me. Long story short, lots of different prophetic words, lots of different times where someone has come and prayed something under this theme over me. And I'm just going to bunch them all into one video to keep it simple for you guys, because I've only got like 330 videos left this year, and we got to make sure that we get around to everything, okay? But October 5th, 2013, a stranger comes up to me at a worship night, and he says, "You are a this is the day kind of guy." Psalm 118 says, "This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it." And then he said, "I feel like God has marked you as a man who will worship God every day. You are a natural rejoicer and a natural worshiper." A couple years later, March 13th, 2015, Aaron Weghorst, thanks, bro. He says, "I got the picture." When he says, "I got the picture," it means like a mental image came into his mind, and he feels like God's speaking to him about me through it. So I got the picture of these huge stone walls crumbling to pieces. After they crumble, you're standing on the other side of the rubble, rejoicing and dancing. However, you started rejoicing the Lord long before the walls fell because you knew that God would tear them down. You were already excited about what God had promised. Although you may not see something God has promised, you trust Him with your whole heart. You trust in Him. Your trust in Him brings so much peace in the storms, and it allows Him to fill you up so that you can overflow into other people. It's pretty awesome. So good. July 22nd, 2015. This is something I feel like God spoke to me in my own devotional time. 1 Peter 4:13 comes to my mind, which says, "But rejoice inasmuch as you participate in the sufferings of Christ, so that you may be overjoyed when His glory is revealed." So rejoice even when you suffer. Actually, rejoice to the extent that you suffer. Rejoice because you suffer. And then I felt like what God spoke to me after that verse came to my head is, your choosing to encourage and rejoice will change the world. Everyone knows the things that are wrong with the world. Everyone knows the suffering, but no one sees what I am doing. April 2017, Matt Theodore says, I just see this picture of you worshiping God, praising him for things that he hasn't even done yet. And I see people representing different nations with chains broken, shattered, chains like sexual immorality and apathy totally broken off their lives. It's just awesome. Like literally 2 years before Matt says this, thank you, Matt, Aaron says the same thing of like rejoicing and praising God for things he hasn't even done yet. And I feel like that has become true, but I didn't know it was true at the time. But now internally, like what I know God will do is more real than what I can see with my human senses. Like my sight, my taste, my touch, it does not matter to me what the world looks like if I know where it's heading. If I know what God has promised, what he is going to do, to me, that's where my heart is fixated, and I'm rejoicing and praising him for those things. Like one huge one in the world of Christian teaching is that Jesus is coming back, and there's going to be perfect peace and perfect justice on the earth, and I can't wait for that day. It's gonna happen. Got like, oh my goodness, just amazing. Okay, one more word for you. December 2nd, 2018. This one goes out to Colby Cherry. Thanks for sharing this. Pretty sure your last name's not Cherry anymore. #married. She said, I got the word still, and then I saw a picture of you sitting at a table, and you were just laughing and so full of joy. Kind of like this. Sorry, guys. Let's see that? There's a table. Laughing. Okay. I saw a picture of you sitting at a table, and you were just laughing and so full of joy. And around the table was like war and chaos happening. And God said that you are a man who knows how to be still and who knows that your joy is your strength. You know how to receive his joy even in the face of difficulty or enemies. Your best bet is to let God fight for you, and you know that. So I know that these things are true of me because I've seen it thematically spoken over me, and then of course I have gravitated to that. Those things have hit good soil in my heart, in a sense. They've taken root, and they have become who I am in what I see in my daily life and my behaviors, but only because I came to believe with faith that those things were already true of me. Again, if you knew me growing up, you would think I'm a nice person, probably, but definitely pretty cynical, definitely pretty selfish, not necessarily just overflowing with rejoicing. Okay, so thank you, Lord, for telling me who I am, and thank you that I don't have to prove to myself that that's true of me. I don't have to live up to that, but I can just let it be true and then allow my life and my behaviors to follow. That's all I got for y'all today. Talk to y'all soon. Life is worship. God is love.